Dave, we're looking at a team that's lost 3 in a row going into Atlanta, who's playing well. They're sitting atop their division at 4-2. This is a big one. I can't realistically call Game 7 of a 17-game season must win.
No.
But I would have to believe in the building, in the meetings, maybe just meetings with the coaches, that there's a different sense of urgency. Like, all right, guys, we can't be talking about a 4-game losing streak. This has got to end this weekend, right? Do you buy that there's a different level of urgency here?
Look, I don't think it's going to be the end of the world if they lose. Here's what I would say: if they go 3-4, and the Falcons go to 5-2, I don't think anybody around the NFL will be terribly surprised. But it's how do they lose? And if it's the same things that keep popping up, if it's, linebackers not in the right fit, if it's, they're getting gashed in the run game, which they did run the ball over the weekend, right? It was like a couple hundred yards. So that's something, if you're anybody, and I said this going into the San Francisco game, hey, if I'm the offensive coordinator or I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm going to hand the ball off on a stretch play and see if they have their gap system fixed.
Shouldn't that be everybody's plan going against the Seahawks until they prove they've solved it?
Yeah, I would think so. So, and then once that gets solved, which I feel like it will, if it gets to the point, and we haven't really seen this. I've seen it in a couple of times where guys, it looks like they're getting overpowered, but they're not. What it is that their momentum is carrying them that way. It's not like I feel like we're getting just absolutely whooped at the point of attack a couple of times, and that happens all over the NFL. But for the most part, to me, it's been the problem of the famous, freeze frame of the 4 guys in one gap. That's the one thing that it's mostly been about. So, yeah, I mean, I think if they're able to go out there and get a win, I think a lot of people will be very surprised by that. But I think that there's going to be another group that's like, yeah, I knew that. I knew that was going to happen. And
there's always that group, Dave, good or bad.
So
how did you not know?
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah, but I think there's a chance. I'm not giving up on it. I like the things, and we'll hear from Mike McDonald. I like the things that he's saying, his tone and the way he's talking about it. And I don't think he's a guy that will BS guys and try to hype them up. But it just doesn't. If you hear it from Mike McDonald, it just sounds like, okay, it's just something that we got to fix, and let's get back to work.
Yeah, I don't know. I will be. It'll be impressive to me if they win. I think the Falcons are a good team. I don't know if they're great, but I think they're playing well, and they're a good team, and you're on their home field. You're having to travel, so it's you're going to be up against it. It's a noisy building. It's going to be, if they win, that's a quality win. That's a big deal. And one thing that stood out to me yesterday, we were playing sound from Mike McDonald, and one of the things he said, which I think is true, is that they do have plays where they're stuffing the run, they're no gain, 1 yard, 2 yards, but then it's the one play. We saw it at the end of the game, 76 yards. Yeah. And that skews the numbers, and it makes it look like, well, they were just running it down your throat the whole game. Well, that's not really true. Now, in some cases, it is. I felt like the Patriots were just killing you. It wasn't one big run. It was like, here's 5, here's 7, here's 4, here's 8. It just felt like they did kind of run it down your throat, even though the Seahawks won that game, just talking about the run defense. But so I don't know how far away this defense is from being at least representative, at least being decent at stopping the run, because they've shown probably more than they've failed. They've succeeded in stopping the run, limiting the damage, but then when they make the mistake, it feels like it's always a big one, right? So that tends to skew the numbers even worse. I don't think they're great, but I don't know that they're as bad as the numbers appear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think it does, just because when it does. And it's the old saying that goes back. I think it's being run as an advertisement for our show, of me droning on and on about how you can make mistakes in college and high school. And, you see the one gap. I mean, there was one gap that on the 76-yard run, what was the guy's name? Guerrero or something like that? He was
their third-string running back, rookie.
He was third-string running back guy. There was one gap, and he ran through it. So there's one guy on that play that made a mistake. So, I mean, look, that's simply the truth. So as soon as they can get that done, but again, just like San Francisco, if I'm Atlanta, I'm going to test that. I'm going to test it from, pretty much the entire game until they say, show us that they can shut it down.
They don't really have an excuse now. You got kind of a mini bye week. You got an extended rest. So we're past that 3 games in 11 days, and you could go, well, man, that's a big ask. And it's fair. Those are fair comments, but that's kind of gone now. And guys are coming back. We'll see if Byron Murphy's healthy. I don't know that he'll be at full strength, and I don't know how many teams are as the season goes on. But it feels like, you know what, this is – if you have the same problems – then you start asking different questions. Like, all right, are these guys just not – is the football IQ not there? Is the message not being relayed properly? Is it, too complicated? You have to simplify the message. You have to change your approach. I mean, it just creates a whole different set of questions for me if you talked about how they lose, if they were to lose. If they get gashed by the run game again,